So I'm waiting for you.
I'm live.
You're live. Wait.
And 8 people are here already. This is great.
Oh, I got low my sound.
Hi. You guys made it. You guys, are we up? Still 6:59, so I'm going to wait till 7 to give my real intro and everything. But you guys made it. This is great. I'm glad that 8 of you are on here at least. That helps with things. 10. All right. And it is almost 7. I'm watching my computer clock. If you want, make sure you chat something on the side. Say hi to Sherry, because Sherry's the one that's doing any typing there, because I don't have time to type because I'm talking too much. Welcome, everybody. Congratulations on finishing the challenge. I hope you enjoyed it in some way or function. I hope some of the goals you might have had are there. Hopefully you had some takeaways, if not a lot of takeaways, in why you did the challenge, and hopefully it was successful for you. Tonight we're going to talk about where do you go from here and what that looks like. Because as I've mentioned on Facebook and I mentioned in newsletters, this challenge is very restrictive. It's as restrictive as you can get eating plant-based, you know, with the no nuts, with no tofu, no oil. You can, if you have health concerns, you can stay eating challenge way the rest of your life with no issue whatsoever. There's no problems with eating this way. It's nutritionally complete. It gives you everything you need, so you can do that. That being said, there's a much wider world of whole food plant-based out there. And over the past couple days, some of you have been testing that a little bit on some of the things that have been posted on the Good Life Challenge on Facebook. Like somebody today posted these great looking twice baked or stuffed potato things, but they had diet cheese in them. And diet cheese is a commercially made processed fake cheese out of nuts or oil or whatever, and it is very good. It melts like cheese, it tastes like cheese, and it's very good. We have had it at times as sort of a cheat for us, even though it's plant-based, but it is processed. It does have that cheesy quality, and but it's not a health food. It's laden with oil, and if you're trying to avoid oil, that's something you really don't want to get into. So if you have weight issues, if you have health issues, you can stay on this way to heal yourself, no problem said. You know, what's different for us for our off challenge, because we ran the challenge with you. Off challenge, we may have cream in our coffee if we have coffee.
Not real cream. Not
real cream. It's a Silk brand soy creamer that we find that we like. Some people just put almond milk in or soy milk in, but we like the creaminess of this one Silk soy creamer. So we'll use that. What don't we do? We still don't do oil in our house. We don't have oil in our house, and we don't do oil in our house. If we take oil in our diet at all, it might be when we go out. And for us, going out is a treat. It's not a weekly thing, and sometimes not even a monthly thing. We may go out once, twice a month, but typically we don't go out that often. We like the food we cook, and in most cases, we like it better than what we buy out. But if friends invite us out, we go out. And in that case, we may, depending on where we're at, say, we want those sweet potato fries, or we'll have some tofu at a place where we know that it's going to end up fried. But we take that into account when we're eating. So we're not ordering all this fatty food. We might have one thing on our plate that has some fat-laden thing in it. What you can add back, some simple things to add back, and I can't wait to add them back, are tempeh, which is soy grain-based product, which is very good for you. It's fermented, so it gives you K2, which is a vitamin, which is sometimes hard to get. And it adds a different texture and taste to foods. We put it in stir fries. We put it in our tofu scramble. They make a bacon version or a smoked bacon version type thing, which are strips that you can add to dishes, and that's what we add to our Sunday morning
potato hash scramble.
And adds a smoky flavor and texture to it. You can add back you can add tofu, and I shared some recipes for tofu, and I saw today in the newsletter we had hundreds of downloads of those recipes. So thank you. I hope you find them delicious. Nuts you can add back,
but not as a snack. Try not to snack on them.
Right. We say, and I've been guilty of it.
Cashews, I can eat a pound in like 15 minutes.
You know, add them into a salad. Add them into as a dressing. And I gave you the peanut dressing today, and that's one we really like. And I might have said this before, but it bears repeating. In salads, there's a lot of fat-soluble vitamins. The only way to absorb them are to have a little fat in there. If there's no fat, you're not absorbing all the vitamins and minerals that you need. So if you just have a sprinkle of some sort of nut, or you use that peanut dressing, you're A-okay. But what that prevents is you from overeating and getting too much fat through the nuts. I mean, a handful of nuts here, a handful of nuts there, it adds up extremely quickly.
And it won't fill up your stomach.
And it won't fill up your stomach. And it won't satisfy that hunger that you're craving. That's where those potatoes dipped in mustard or ketchup will fill you up better if you're having that craving. Somebody had asked the other day, I was talking with somebody about grapes. And they say, well, what about raisins? And here's the thing. If you had a bunch of grapes, that bunch of grapes, it would take you a while to eat. But you take those grapes and turn them into raisins, that's one handful.
And all the
you're down.
Moisture's taken out, so there's no water.
There's no moisture, there's no water. So you can consume much more calories, much more sugar, much more everything real quickly with those snack foods. So when you're thinking of snacking, and there may be times you want a snack or just something to tide you over till dinner, try not to think of your old habits of, oh, I'll grab a handful of this or a cookie of this. And we tried to even tell you not have those crackers. Now, we have crackers that we use when we dip in hummus, and it's called Mary Gone Crackers. Mary's Gone Crackers. Mary's Gone Crackers is the brand name. And some of their varieties do have oil, but their original ones don't. And they're great. They're yummy. They can fill you up. But here again, they fill you up. But, you know, if you eat 16, 20, 30 of those, that's going to stop your weight loss if weight loss is an issue.
And if you're not hungry enough to eat an apple, then you're not hungry.
And I'm sure you can hear that. And I know I got yelled at last time. Sherry, you should just peek your head over the window.
Why?
Because they just want to say hi.
I'm in my pajamas.
Well, just your head.
Okay.
Just your head. There she is. She is over here. She's walking around the table, and she sits there monitoring the computer. Oil. Like we said, we still don't use it. It's not a health food ever. And there's research out there. And like we've, as you saw, we use nutritionfacts.org. He's the most reputable guy we find. There's other doctors out there that sometimes may have good information. Dr. Weil has a site. Dr. Axe, which sometimes has good stuff, but he also has some way out stuff. So we avoid Dr. Axe. We know that Dr. Greger is giving us the straight dope on the latest research that's available, and he's constantly working on that. Vegan label products not always mean healthy, and I got chastised for that. Stop calling some things vegan, that, you know, vegans are unhealthy. Well, the majority of vegans we meet really tell us they don't care about their health. They're only concerned about the animals. So that's what they tell us. And we get in arguments online all the time that why don't you be healthy? So now you know how to read those labels and look for those hidden things that you just didn't realize before. And what I've said, if you got anything out of this, it was just an appreciation for being more mindful of the eating choices you make. And that goes a long way to being healthy, whether you continue this way of eating or just adapt certain parts of that eating. So that's that. Let's see. Fake meats. There's a lot of fake meats out there. And some are totally processed, some are less processed. Seitan is vital wheat gluten. They take out of wheat flour, they take out. We have a dog who's just wants attention. Vital wheat gluten, which is the part that makes the bread rise and all that structure, and some people have issue with. It's just that. And when you mix it with water and you massage a little bit, and if you put some herbs and spices in, it becomes very chewy and a texture like meat. And you cook that, and it's wonderful. And they sell it prepared. You don't have to make it yourself. And some of them have different sauces and stuff on it. That's probably the least processed stuff. And we like it. And if you barbecue that up, it tastes pretty good. Then you get into the processed meats that, like the Impossible Burger, the Beyond Beef Burger, Gardein products. They're all highly processed. They all typically have a lot of fat in them. Not saying you can't ever have them. We've both tasted them. We both taste them because what's the whole deal about? And some of them are extremely good and extremely convincing. But
they're not healthy.
They're not healthy. To make a habit of it, as I might have said before, Juliana Hever had mentioned that she sees vegan patients that are coming down with the same chronic diseases as the meat eaters because they're eating this processed junk food and it's contributing to the same things, type 2 diabetes, IBS, other stuff. One of the other things you may want to look at, Fat Man Rants Cookbook. He's a friend of ours, Tim Kaufman, if you were at the kickoff. If you Google Fat Man Rants, I think 40 greatest recipes on Amazon, he's got a Kindle version. It's cheap. It's like $2.99. Great, simple, easy recipes, especially if you don't like to cook. Most of his stuff goes in a blender and puts it in a pot, or just puts it in a pot and cooks it. So real easy stuff. And we have a bunch of books that we decided we show. We showed some last time, and I wanted to show you some this time as well. The China Study Cookbook. It doesn't look too exciting on the inside, but all the recipes are great. You can see all our tabs of recipes we like. So, I mean, it's sort of a dated-looking cookbook. It's not as flashy as some of the coffee table ones, but great recipes. And it's the China Study. It's by T. Colin Campbell and his daughter-in-law. And it looks like his son took the pictures. Good recipes, good food, all healthy. For you with families, Forks Over Knives Family Cookbook. We got this because we haven't cooked out of it yet. And all our family has moved out. It's just the two of us. We have so many cookbooks to go through. We're going to do some reviews on these books later on our Facebook group, Eat Plants Love, and some other places. And one of our favorites we have cooked out of is Plant Powered Families by Drina Burton. She's the one who does the No Food Loaf, which we love. And I think I shared a link to that one place. If not, just Google No Food Loaf, and it's wonderful. It's a lot like the Eat Loaf, but
not as chunky consistency. It's more ground up like ground meat.
Yeah, I love it. So good for the family. Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by this is the first book the Esselstyns came out with cookbook wise.
Everything in there is challenge approved. Everything
in here is challenge approved. If you heard that from Sherry, plus, well, so it basically means it's oil free, no tofu, no nuts. It's great. Jane and Ann. Ann is Jane's mom. They wrote all the recipes for this, and they have a great YouTube channel. They're fun to watch. Oh, She Glows. It's a vegan cookbook. It has the oil in it, but just get rid of the oil. But just leave it out. She has great recipes, and you'll find that some people are saying, "Oh, I bought a book and it has this in it." Well, after a while, you become proficient enough, and you realize I don't need the oil at all in a lot of these recipes. So just take it right out. Dr. Greger last year came out with his own cookbook, How Not to Die Cookbook, and he's coming out with another one this year.
How Not to Diet, all about weight loss.
How Not to Diet, all about weight loss. So
not sure when it's coming out. I don't know if it's the end of this year or next year.
He's working on it all this year, I think, because he was going to take a hiatus. He actually did all his videos a year ahead of time just so he could work on his new book. Vegan 8, we've talked about her before. And some people I know in the group have bought this book. Great book. Sherry loves Brandy.
And her website has free recipes. So if you can't afford the book, just go to thevegan8.com.
This is one, if you do not like swearing, do not get it, because they swear almost in every sentence. So,
but it's entertaining.
But it's entertaining. But the real key is their recipes are darn good.
Just leave out the oil.
Just leave out any oil. And last but not least, this is a new one I got. We haven't cooked out of it yet, but it's the Wicked Healthy Cookbook. I love the picture. He's chopping beets and it looks like blood all over. But it's done by Chad Sarno and Derek Sarno. Chad Sarno started a lot of the big gourmet vegan restaurants across the country. And now he and his brother, I think, are in England, and they have a Instagram feed, which is real enjoyable watching what they prepare. And their stuff is just beautiful, unique, and some of it a little higher end. So if you're one of those gourmet people or foodies, this might be a book for you.
Now they know we have a cookbook problem.
I had the cookbook problem. I've talked about a lot. Blue Zone Solution. These are things to further your education on just nutrition in general, along with, I couldn't find it, T. Colin Campbell's book Whole, which is all about reductionism. So often well, what about the carbs? What about the protein? What about the
vitamins?
Vitamins, and we're counting everything. And what's great about plant-based, and you probably realize that you really don't have to do any of that. Now, if you're one of those people that are a number cruncher, I mentioned in one of the newsletters, I think yesterday or today's, about Chronometer, which is an app you can get. And Chronometer is great because it will detail all those numbers for you. And you referenced something here. Oh, if you want to micromanage your nutrition. And also, Dr. Greger has an app, Greger's Daily Dozen. And it's an app, and you just check off what you have. So like, oh, half cup of beans. Boop, got it. So many cups of fruit. Boop, got it. Got my berries. Boop. And you just do that on a phone, and it sort of keeps you in line and has you do that. Something we've talked a little bit about, some people have asked, what about organic? And all the plant-based doctors will tell you, if money is a concern or you can't do it, just eat the plants. Doesn't matter if it's organic or not organic. But they said if you can afford it, what you should look at is what we call the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. And that's put out by the Environmental Working Group. And you can Google them, Environmental Working Group. And every year they update this list. So for instance, I know a couple on the Dirty Dozen, apples and strawberries. They're always on the Dirty Dozen. And those are the most highly laden pesticide fruits. They're very hard to grow.
We never buy them.
So we never buy those conventional. We only get them organic. Unless you know the farmers. Like that's the other benefit. You know, a lot of them will say, get to know your farmer. Because if you have a local farmer, they may be doing things like integrated pest management, IPM, where they use very few pesticides, only in extreme cases, and they moderate everything else by using things like row covers and things to prevent over pesticide use. So those are some pointers, basically, for things that you may want to look at. If you're interested in the environmental impact of this, there's a couple movies we can recommend. Cowspiracy is one. It sounds like it's all about meat and whatever, but it's really about how the meat industry affects and the dairy affects our environment, and it's pretty enlightening. Interested in animal rights? Watch Earthlings. For me, the opening credit, it's narrated by Joaquin Phoenix, and the opening quote is what changed it all for me. Didn't even have to watch the movie if I didn't want to, but be warned, images in that one are hard to watch, but it'll completely educate you on how we exploit animals. Eat Plants Love, I think we've shared that enough. We're on Facebook. You can always email us. You can look us up online as well. We're always there for you if you have any questions. Sherry wanted me to let you know that, you've probably all heard it takes about 3 weeks to change a habit. So if you really want to work through this, you could work through it a couple more weeks and see how you feel. I know some people are working through until their doctor's appointment to see what their numbers will look like, which is a great thing to do. I hope some of you took advantage today. I know there was some people went to get their blood work. If they did that, I'm curious to see how well you did.
Please let us know.
Please let us know. There's always Engine 2 7-Day Rescue on the web and Facebook, and they have a lot of resources, recipes, support, people there cheering you on. It's an excellent resource.
And there's, I think, like 30,000 people on there.
Yeah, like 30,000, 40,000 people. Kitchen Verde, local in Rochester. If you're looking for food, she can service you food, as well as some of the online food places. Mama Says
has a discount right now going for the plant-based.
Purple Carrot, and a bunch of others. Local things you might want to listen to. Ian Kramer, he's the plant-based cyclist. He has a podcast and has a great voice, and interviews all the greats in whole food plant-based, and some people we haven't known. There's the Rochester Area Vegan Society, Rochester Lifestyle Medicine Institute, who always brings in speakers. In fact, we told you about Dr. Clapper coming in, and we're going to be there this coming Tuesday if Dr. Clapper makes it in through the storm to do that. So I'm thinking I have almost gotten through everything. Do we have any questions?
No. Well, the only question was Michael wanted to know if there was any way to remove the pesticides from the Dirty 15. So I know you can wash them, but a lot of it's, some of it's in the soil, so there's not much that you can do. You just have to hope the nutrition from the fruits and vegetables protect you from any negative effects. Right,
because, you know, when plants grow, you know, some of them, it's a surface thing. You know, it protects the outside surface. Some are fed foliar in the roots, and it goes up through the roots. And so you don't know. When we had a small 8-acre farm, it came with 80 apple trees or 60 apple trees that we tended, and I tried to grow them organic. And it wasn't totally easy, and to grow them organic is expensive in the fact that there's some organic things we can spray on trees to prevent the animals from eating them. Some of them are expensive, some of them are cheap. One of them was kaolin clay. It's an actual finely powdered clay that when the bugs walk on the fruit, they're so busy trying to get off the clay that they don't eat the fruit. It works extremely well, and we had some successful years where the apples were just beautiful. Maybe not as round and perfect as others, but delicious. Just as tasty, and no worms and all that. But it takes some effort.
Michael's reminding everybody that PCRM has a vegan kickstart. It's 21, I think it's 21 days. That you can go and start anytime.
And it's free.
And it's free.
And you just go to PCRM, Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. We actually are members and get their magazine, and they just, can you get the magazine?
No, you took it. I sneakily left it at work today.
She took it to work. I was going to say, here's the magazine. But they do a lot with changing laws and regulations. They were instrumental in getting plant-based meal options into California's hospitals. They were able to get a law passed that's a requirement now in California. They've helped in other legislative means to push the plant-based method.
Andrea is asking about intermittent fasting. And she said that she noticed that I do it. So do you want to explain the difference between intermittent fasting and time-restricted feeding?
Yeah.
There's a difference.
And we're going by Dr. Valter Longo. Valter, V-A-L-T-E-R-L-O-N-G-O.
That's the longevity diet.
He's got the longevity diet. We have their book somewhere. Mm-hmm. And he really defines, there's a lot of people out there calling any kind of fasting intermittent fasting.
Kaya.
But he says intermittent fasting really is when you're fasting for days, as in actually like water or you're just taking water under a medical supervision kind of thing.
And he has a program too.
And he does have a program called Prolon, P-R-O-L-O-N, which you buy. This package of food is for 5 days, and it gives you everything you need nutritionally for it. It mimics actual water fasting. And the benefit of actual intermittent fasting is that it causes your body to not have to work as much to work on digesting food. It allows the body to work on healing itself. So it gets rid of bad cells. They found that this actually induces T cell growth, which helps in that rebuilding process. And they say if you did 5 days of this, like once a month or once every couple months, it would really help. And the Prolon thing is somewhat expensive. I think it's somewhere in the $100 to $200 range. But some people swear by it. Dr. Joel Kahn, the cardiologist from Detroit, he's
Does he do it once every 2 months or 3 months?
He does it pretty often. He said it helped heal some back soreness that he had for years and other things. He finds real benefit in it and real helpful for numbers and everything.
But what I do is different.
But what Valter Longo says people can do, and it's very safe and easy to do, is what's called time-restricted feeding. And that's where you lower your eating window to a certain point. Now, Dr. Valter Longo will tell you, you don't want to go under, like you don't want to restrict your eating window to only 8 hours. That's too restrictive.
But that's what I do.
And things happen. Well,
that's what I do. He says you shouldn't because there could be some things, but that's when I'm hungry. So I eat in the window that I'm hungry instead of when I'm not.
So typically what we do, we both do, and there's benefits to it, not just for health, but it's also benefits in just ease of working. Some people have sworn by it because it gives them more time. They don't have to worry about eating 3 meals a day. They're eating 2 meals a day. So like we typically don't have our breakfast until almost lunch, like 11-ish. Sometimes for me, if I get real hungry in the morning, I let my body rule that. So if I'm starving by 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, I'll have my bowl. And then at lunchtime, I'll have, maybe some kale and potatoes or whatever. Sherry really tries to keep it about 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12, she eats that first meal. And then we're done eating at night by 7-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't eat after that.
We're trying not to.
We try not to. So we try not to snack. We try not to eat after dinner. And what that does is, and if you read, I think I shared it in one of the first newsletters, it was about Ray Cronnice's
oxidation? Oxidative priority?
Oxidative priority. And he talks about how your body processes food. And it takes 6 to 8 hours, 4 to 6 hours to process a meal. Well, typically, you have breakfast. 4 to 6 hours later, what happens? You have lunch, and 4 to 6 hours later, you have dinner. Well, if it takes 4 to 6 hours to process food, the last thing your body processes is the fat. So if it didn't get a chance to finish processing that and you start eating something again or snacking, it starts the process all over. Okay, fat, you guys have unlimited stores of fat in your body. It just says, okay, pack that into fat reserves and let's start processing this new food that came in. And then 4 to 6 hours later, if you didn't process that meal, fat, put it in the fat stores. And it's no wonder we gain weight because Ray Cronnice says Americans live in a constantly fed state. And a lot of times we're not hungry. And he even says that those hunger pains you feel, you've trained your body to want that at certain times. If you drink some water, if you wait through that gurgling of your stomach, eventually it'll pass. So that's sort of that time-restricted feeding is what you may look at. And we recommend people, if you're eating plant-based for a while and you plateau and everything, you've done everything, you're eating as clean as you can, you still want to lose weight, but you're not losing it, you may want to try time-restricted feeding because now you're going from 3 meals down to 2 meals basically and just narrowing that window. And it is sort of empowering when you realize, hey, I don't have to. Now, what we'll have in the morning, though, is we might have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. Technically, that's breaking your fast in some ways.
No, only if there's milk or something.
Milk or something.
Not breaking your fast.
But just like in our the challenge, just plain coffee, black coffee, and plain tea, that's not breaking your fast. So it's something to look into. I recommend reading Valter Longo's work. He is sort of the resident expert on it. And there's lots of people out there doing sort of weird, wacky things. Somebody is saying, oh, this worked for me, and they tried something wacky. And I wouldn't trust that as much unless they're somebody who has researched this and studied this. And he looks at it for longevity in life and health and long term.
The most important thing, though, is to get the hang of just eating a whole food, plant-based diet with no oil. Work on that.
True.
And then once you are into this world, then you'll learn all about these other.
And like we said before, this took us about 6 years to get where we are now. and we wanted to shorten that window for you guys. We wanted you guys to have more information, more of those resources, so you have them at your fingertips so you can work on it. One of the things I want to repeat over, I mentioned it in the newsletter today, is vitamin B12 and vitamin D. That's something, if you're remain on this long term, you have to have monitored, checked once a year or so by your doctor, unless your doctor says, hey, it's fine, don't worry about it. But you have to take those supplements. The other thing is, if you're over 50, you should be taking those supplements even if you are a meat eater, because our bodies aren't absorbing things like they used to. We have less receptors for it. Our body doesn't do it as well. Especially with the elderly, they find that they think something like 75% or 50% of the elderly are probably deficient in these vitamins. So it's worth it. And especially vitamin D, it's heart health, bone health, they're all very important. So
I think Kaya wants to be on
she
never bothers you.
I know.
Doing this.
I know. This isn't my dog. This is Sherry's dog, but she's like, dog, pet me. Anything else?
No, everything's pretty quiet. If anybody has any questions, they should do it now. It's been a half hour, so you've probably talked enough. They're probably bored.
Yes.
You think?
I always wash my veggies with vinegar. Yeah, there's nothing else. 31 of you on board. Thank you. If you haven't gone over to Facebook, or if you are on Facebook, please look us up on Eat Plants Love. It's a good group. We're going to be doing a lot of fun things there this year. Sherry and I have some stuff in the works after we sort of decompress from this challenge. We have a unique challenge coming up in probably February for our Eat Plants Love group. It should be a lot of fun. So look forward to that, and some offerings that we're going to be passing along the way to our followers. So thank you for taking this challenge and believing in us. And I hope
congratulations. That was a big step.
I know it is. You guys did all the heavy lifting. You were the ones who were working with your colleagues. You were the ones who really made it a success. So kudos to you guys.
And if you have any blood results or good news or any news as a result of doing this, please let us know, because we really, it helps to tell other people, like, look, this is working.
Right. And we do listen to your complaints, as well as your suggestions, as well as your compliments. And we love testimonials because we use them to help others. So thank you so much. Have a great, healthy, well rest of your year.
Eat plants and love.